Hello and welcome to this informative video on the new Trinity syllabus for drum kit, which is the 2020 to 2023 syllabus. So it replaces the last one, which was something like 2014 to 2019, I think, and it's been going on for a long while. And yes, I'm quite glad there's a change now, having been listening to those tracks for 5 odd years. So what do we got then? We've got these nice books. Interestingly, the first thing you notice straight away is that there are now 3 grades in each book, which means you can get up to grade 8 now with just 3 books. And you might be thinking, well, hang on a minute, if there are 3 grades in each book, that means there must be now 9 grades. But no, we have this initial grade, which I didn't know anything about. I'm not sure if it's an actual grade, I'm not sure if it's an exam, so I need to look into that myself. But it's obviously something you can do. There's some quite good little tracks in the initial grade as well. So that's the first thing. That's changed a little bit. The other noticeable thing is there's no CD in the back. So all the tracks are now downloadable from Soundwise. You get a little code in the back of the book and you can just go to Soundwise, type in the code, download all your tracks. The tracks themselves really well recorded. There's a lot of horn tracks, a lot of brass sounding tracks. That's what you'd expect now, because beforehand this syllabus was classed as the jazz and classical syllabus, but it still had some kind of rockier tracks in there. Now, I suppose because they're now running the rock and pop syllabus as well, they've kind of managed to get them sort of more separated out. So if you want to do the rocky tracks or the pop tracks, you can do that syllabus. If you want to look at the other sort of material, the sort of more jazz, the Latin, the funk, then this is the one to go for, this new syllabus. So, and that's probably why there's more of a sort of like more of a brassy sound throughout. Every track seems to have quite a reasonably decent, and I say reasonably decent, that's not really fair. I think they are very good brass accompaniment or a brass arrangement. So what about the tracks themselves then? Well, if you have a flick through both of these books, you see straight away that there's a real emphasis on swing, on funk and Latin, show tunes as well. There's quite a few of those cheesy little numbers in there, and a bit of soul, some shuffles. So all the sort of stuff you'd expect to find really in a Trinity syllabus. There's some good stuff in here. In grade 3, there's a track called Joy Spring. Now, Joy Spring was in my class at school. That's not true. But Joy Spring is actually a skeleton score, and it's a swing number. And at grade 3, I think that's quite a change from what we've had previously. So it is, as you can see. So whenever I see one of these tracks, the first thing I always think is, oh right, if you put this in front of a student, they're not going to know what to do. So what I usually do is I actually write out the whole thing fully, for better or for worse, and explain it to them that way, because it's actually really hard to visualize the ride cymbal pattern in relation to where the snare drum or the phrasing is going. So I think it just really helps if you can do that for your student, and then over time they'll start to understand how the ride cymbal and the snare drum relate to each other. But that's mainly in these sort of swingy numbers. Not many bass drums in here either. This is a kind of one of those really light swing numbers with just a few sort of like heavier strokes nearer the end, bringing in some bass drum bombs. So grade 3 is actually, I think, is a little bit harder than the previous one. Although, having said that, I mean, there are a lot of similar sorts of rhythms and things in here. But it does look a little bit more demanding than the previous grade. So if you've got somebody who's on their way to grade 3 now, you might want to prepare them. What about some of the rudiments? Rudiments might be a bit slower in grade 4, possibly. Again, in grade 4 we get some more phrasing, so there's quite a lot of emphasis on phrasing. There's kind of more skeletal scores, that side of things. So yeah, I think it's a pretty good syllabus. I think it's, well, I'm going to be teaching it, so I must think it's quite good. Certainly challenging, and for those students who are less bothered about playing covers or, you know, just playing straight backbeats and rock stuff, those who want to like really branch out and look at some different sort of material, then this is the syllabus to get, and it's the one I always encourage my students to look at, because I think if you can do this stuff, you've got a better chance of being able to do anything really. Kids are always going to listen to what they want to listen to anyway, and they're always going to play the drums how they want to play the drums. So if you give them material that's, I wouldn't say out of their comfort zone, but if you give them material that helps them broaden their horizons, they're just going to end up being a better all-round musician. So that's my view anyway. If you've got any opinions or want to make any comments, you can do that below. I'm going to make some tutorial videos for some of these tracks soon, and they'll be delivered in an equally enthusiastic and enlightening manner.